Hi ceramics, we're going to go over your first project, which is coil pottery. We're going to do a little history, learn about kind of like where pottery or coil pottery started. And it started with the Pueblo Indians about 2,000 years ago when they first started using agriculture. So not just hunting and gathering, but adding that into it where they can save grains and preserve stuff. So with that need to preserve, they needed vessels, and coil pottery became one of their vessels. Here are a couple that they had. These were functional, and so they had cooking jars, ollas, seed jars. So ollas held oils. They were for them to preserve the stuff that they had. Santa Clara Pueblo pottery is a specific style of Pueblo pottery from Santa Clara. It's literally among the most well-known pottery in the entire world, and Maria Martinez is, I would say, probably the most world-renowned potter that probably ever existed. She became famous for something called black on black pottery. It's a traditional pottery from Santa Clara that she's really well known for. So this is Maria Martinez. She lived to be almost 100 years old. She rediscovered this art of black pottery. So it was something that was like culturally like happened in her culture, but it was kind of lost along the way. And she figured out a way to do it that worked really well. So what she did was she found that smothering a cool fire with dried cow manure, so that's like cow poop basically, trapped the smoke. And that by using a special type of paint, so a special type of like liquid clay basically, on top of a burnished surface. So a burnished surface is a surface that's been rubbed so much that the pores are no longer existing. So by painting that on top of this burnished surface, in a combination with trapping the smoke in low temperature, it turned red clay black. So they weren't using black clay, they were using red clay. These are some examples of her work. So they call it black on black pottery because some of the black is shiny and some of the black is matte. All of the black that is shiny, well, all of it's had this slip painted on it, which is just like that wet clay. And the areas that are shiny have been burnished. You can burnish with like a river rock or like the backside of a spoon, and basically you're just rubbing the outside of the clay over and over again until it like unifies the pores. And so when it fires, that portion stays glossy, and the area that wasn't burnished is matte finish. So it's a two-tone black design basically. Get my head out of the way. So creating blackboard pottery is a long process consisting of many steps. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of skill, and a lot of practice. So first they find and collect the clay. They don't get to go buy it at a store. They dig it up out of a riverbed. They create the pot. Then they scrape and sand the pot to make sure it's like nice and smooth. They apply that slip onto it and then burnish it. So they rub that in really hard. Then they decorate the pot again with like the non-burnished slip, and then they fire it. And firing it in that smoky atmosphere that doesn't have any oxygen is called a reduction atmosphere. Next. Okay, so one thing about Maria Martinez, which is interesting, is that she's really famous for this pottery. She built all the pottery, but her husband actually did all the slip and design work. And so, like, nobody knows his name. I don't even know his name. They were totally a duo, couldn't have done without each other. Kind of interesting that she's the only one that got the credit for it. But so the coil method has existed since the beginning of ceramics, like one of the first things that ever existed. Potters usually use coil to build circular forms, adding coils on top of one another. Coils can also be added to straight lines or vertical elements to a pot. So as you can see in this design here right in front, they're vertically added, not like horizontally added. So they can go this way, they can go this way, they can go this way. They're not always just laid directly on top of each other. Coiling allows you to build a large pot fairly quickly. Other methods can take a lot of time and practice, like throwing on the wheel is much more difficult to create something large unless you have a lot of practice at it. If you were in school, you'd use a banding wheel for this project. It's a wheel mounted on a pedestal, so it turns. So like the bottom is still, and you can spin the top. And when we do our lesson on Wednesday in the live session, you'll see why that's like super legit to have. But we will make do with what we got at home. So you have to think about how you want the shape of your pot. The shape affects the base size. So in your slideshows here, what you're going to do is you're going to sketch out a design. And that design is going to help you determine the size of the base that you make. Head out of the way again. Move head. So there's many coil styles that can be made. There's like straight horizontal, so like just like long coils here labeled. There's straight vertical, so like the short coils that are shown up and down. There's braids or twists that are down at the bottom. There's swirls or like spirals up on the top. There's spheres down here, and those could be like rounded or flattened. They could be big or small. You could do like little slabs in there that are decorative. There's like the rainbows, the donuts, really anything you can think of could be considered a coil as long as you're using a coil. You are not limited to these design aspects. So if you come up with a different design, you're more than welcome to use it. So here are some examples that I'm going to show you of slab projects. So this one on the base has regular slabs that are horizontal. They have some textured slabs, or not slabs, I'm sorry, coils that are horizontal. They have some textured coils. They've got some spirals, a few little spheres, and then they have some slabs here, like little flattened slabs that have decoration on them. Again, there can be vertical in this. It doesn't all have to go this way. If it kind of loops up and down, that's totally fine. And then they've got some braid with some texture in their braid. And then their rim is uneven. It's not finished flat. It's up to you if that's aesthetically what you want to do. Your rim could be wavy, it could be kind of abnormal, or it can be like a really straight edged rim. Or you can go with something that's less functional. So that first one would have held water. This one, not quite so much. They have this like kind of opening cut into it. That was done afterwards. It was not built this way. It's really hard to just build this way without the structure. So they designed it and then went through and cut that design out of it after it was built. And you can see the inside of this is smooth. So the outside is going to look like coils, but we will blend the inside so that it's nice and smooth and functional on the inside. And it helps like hold the material together. And we'll talk more about some of those like details when we start the project. This one would be not functional as well because you can see through it. So even though it's blended on the back side, there are gaps in there. And that's totally fine if that's something that you want to go for. Here's another one that has gapping through it. You can see all the way through there. Lots of different designs. They have really rounded spheres in this one, spirals, twists. It can also represent something. So this one is a relatively simplistic design, like of horizontal. And then they added those different coil styles afterwards. So we got spirals for the eyes. We've got a couple slab different designs. So you could do something like that. This one is kind of similar in that, well, they used a lot of spirals, but then they also have a design ingrained inside of it. This one is actually built into it, which is probably a little bit difficult to do, but you could applicate this on the outside, so add it on afterwards. Another one, just like that shows you a different shape. A lot of these have been really cylindrical. This one builds out and then comes back in. So think about that shape and style of what you want to do. Relatively cylinder one. It's got a little bit of its curves to it. Making a template. So this is going to be optional. You don't have to make a template. I'm not going to go through the video that, well, here, why? I'm getting ahead of myself. So why do you make a template? We do this in school. It's required usually. At home, it's a little bit harder to do. To make sure you maintain the shape you want, the coil can get out of hand pretty quickly. So check yourself for once in a while that you're maintaining the shape that you want. It's not a bad idea to just make one of these out of paper or like a cereal box at home. If you're going for like a curvy shape or if you're going for anything that's not a cylinder, it can start out upright and then end up like this, end up like this, and you get this like weird wonky bowl. And I'll explain that too a little bit more once we get started. So on Wednesday, if you kind of see this happening, you might want to make a template just to help yourself check to see that you're on the right track as you're building upward. So it can be made from cardboard, chipboard, all sorts of different things. Cereal boxes work great, or like a heavy duty paper. Or if all you have is regular paper, you can make it out of that. There's a video here that you can click on that will take you to a YouTube that will show you how to make a template. And then this will show you how to use it. So this is a video of a woman building, and she'll show you how to use it and check with it. So some requirements for the project: you must create a sketch that's in the Word document that's assigned to this day's work. If you want to make some things. Okay, so in your sketch, you have to have, did I put this, it's in your Google Docs assignment, but your sketch must have the shape of the pot, the different kinds of coils you're going to use, and the sizes of like the base and the height, so that I can kind of get a reference of what you're doing. Not grading you on your artistry. This isn't a drawing class, but just so that you can kind of give me an idea of what you're doing. You could like point arrows and write terms on there too. Like, I'm going to do a spiral here. If you can't tell, that's what this is. If you want to make a template at home, again, you can. It needs to be, when it's finished, at least 6 inches tall, but no more than 8 inches. So we're going to kind of limit between those two areas. You must use at least 3 different coil styles, so like horizontal, vertical, spiral, or any combination of 3, but you could use more. You are not limited to those 3. You can have areas on the outside that are blended. They don't all have to be visible coil. You must blend the inside. If you don't blend the inside, it can fall apart real easy. And we'll use a slab for the base. And I'll explain more about that on Wednesday during the live session when we actually do the project. I'm just going to go over the slide or the assignment. So your Google Slides assignment, you're going to make a Google Slides. You're going to, the first slide is just going to be the name of the project, so coil vessel. Second slide is going to have some vocab, so just kind of remind me what coil and meld mean. Then you're going to search 6 projects that inspire what you'll create. Pinterest is a great place to search. Google Images, just Google coil pot and you'll be good. And find 6 that you think you might want to use as an inspiration for yours. Describe what you think you might make. So do you want it to be functional or decorative? What coil designs will you use, or what do you like the best? Will it be like curvy? Will it be a straight cylinder? Will it be really rounded? What's your plan? The next slide is you're going to go to YouTube and find a video of somebody making a coil pot. It's always better to see more than one person explain something to you. So like they might explain something different than I do, and neither is right or wrong. It's just a new way, a different way. That's like the nice thing about art. There's not really a right or wrong on how to do something, as long as you get to the same product style. Then paste a link into your slide so I can see the video too. Good for me to reference things that are new. And then you have to comment on that slide. So what do you think was helpful? What would you do the same or different? And was the video worth watching? And then your final slide is going to be the sketch of your design, and this gives you what you need for that sketch. You can also add this as a separate attachment if that's easier for you, or you can put it in your last slide. So you are going to have Monday and Tuesday to work on this. And then you will have Wednesday, the live session. We will get together and actually start the project. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Bye.